Hey everyone, welcome to the Happily Ever After 40 podcast. I am your host, Tamika Michelle, and I am so excited to bring on our guest today, Jerome. I have known Jerome for many, many, many years and have seen him transition and blossom both professionally and personally. I have witnessed his difference in women as far as dating and relationships. So he's got a lot of good stuff that he can share with us as far as being single, dating, and relationships. Jerome is over 40, obviously. He is single. So, with that, Jerome, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so we are broadcasting live from the Successful and Single to Marvelous and Married Facebook group, our private group on Facebook, obviously. So we are tuning in every Sunday. We're going to do our sessions. We're having a little bit, a few technical difficulties today, but we got things together. So again, really excited to have this show with Jerome today. So we're just going to start off. Jerome, how old are you currently? Let everyone know.
Okay, I'm 54.
54. Okay. Have you ever been married or engaged?
I've never been married, but I have been engaged.
Okay, so I never knew that at all. So when were you engaged? At what point? Well, how old were you?
Oh my goodness, I was in my mid. I was around 36.
36. Okay.
36. Yeah, 36. Uh-huh.
So you have an extensive dating profile. You were at one point in the Navy, and so you were traveling the world, met different ladies here and there. Um, just tell us how you were, just as far as interacting with women and dating, what your mindset was in your 20s.
Well, in my 20s, when you're in your 20s, I mean, you think you own the world. When you're in your 20s, I mean, you're having a good time, you're having fun, you're meeting these young ladies. Not saying that you're wanting to be serious at that time. And I think your mindset is not as mature, especially as it is. My mindset wasn't mature as it is today. Very mature. And you learn through life experiences, the things you want, and you also learning about who you are, coming into more of the person that you will eventually be. But at 20, it's more like party time.
Yeah, so I was gonna say I've known you as you've always have known the hot spots in whatever city that you were in. You like to kind of dress to the nines, and you would ask me, "Hey, have you ever been to so and so? You want to go so and so?" And I'm kind of like, I'm a homebody, and so I didn't do a lot, but you would always bring up like something new. So I know things have changed in dating. The way that we date and how we meet people has changed. So in your 20s, how did you primarily meet women?
Well, back then it was more the club scene, which was pretty cool. You're at the hottest club spot and you would meet women there, which was, awesome, especially coming into Atlanta. You have a great time. But today it's really difficult dating. Well, I find it to be difficult dating, especially when you're very career minded, which
Okay.
somewhat can slow a lot of things down. But yes, it was the club scene early on. But today, with all these apps, these dating apps, I'm not really for these dating apps, to be honest with you, and that makes it a little more, even more difficult to date today.
Okay. So for people who know my story, they know that I actually met my now husband online. He was like the first person I met online, even though we dated and I was in other relationships. So just show my age, we met on Black Planet. So again, I don't even know if that exists. But I do remember trying like Black People Meet and Match.com when I was still dating, when I was like in my later 30s, before we actually started dating. So what are the apps right now and sites that you are familiar with and that you use or have experience with in the last couple of years?
So it's been years since I've been on an app. I've just been hearing through word of mouth the apps they have out there. It's like Bumble, Hinge,
Okay.
and years ago I was on POF. I do not recommend POF to anybody.
Why is that? So I remember hearing of that, but that's like a really free site. And I'm like, you get what you pay for, and if you pay nothing, you will get trashed. I don't know if that's your same experience or not, but is
Um,
that your reasoning?
Yeah, pretty much. And I still think it's true to the day. But, I don't really pay attention to that. Now, like I said, I am not on a dating app. Now, I may still have that POF, but no interest at all. And I really try to stay. Well, actually, I stay away from the dating app, and I really would like to meet some, and prefer to meet someone just by word of mouth or someone referring someone to me, because I'm really skeptical. I'm just old school. I really don't care for dating app. I don't.
Mhm. And I want to say you probably introduced me to maybe Match some years ago.
Yes.
Um, we went on vacation and you had met someone on that particular site. So
Mhm.
you did use it. So what are the what things especially when you started using online dating, what things did you like about dating apps and or dating sites?
Well, one thing about dating apps, it was just nice to you had a chance to scan. But the reality with me, I really don't like dating apps. Period. And again, I am not the person that prefer dating apps. Like I said, I prefer to meet someone, face to face, or just meeting through general calm uh, people, common people for the most part. But
Okay.
yes, I'm not a dating app guy at all.
Okay.
That's probably why I'm
So
still
did you
single.
that could be why. Okay, so you did meet someone from a dating site who you, and I don't know, so I'll let you
Now,
tell it. I don't know how extensively involved you were, but I know at least one person
yes, I
that
know.
that
It's the most I ever
that,
smiled. You asked if I haven't smiled like this. I don't know how long,
that you dated
but
was
yes, I did.
it was a couple years I think that you dated. So there was something about that. But from what I've heard, from a men's perspective, as far as dating at dating sites, is that there's so many women. Do you find that women are aggressive online? And I know you prefer like traditionally or meet someone in person, but have you found that women appear to be aggressive or it's just overwhelming dating online?
Uh, there are women out there that are aggressive online for various reasons. But however, um, one I did meet online and we spent about 5 years together. And she
Wow.
was very aggressive, very aggressive. But however, that's probably what kept us together, because she was so aggressive. But with that being said, yeah, I do find women, and I met another woman that actually was very aggressive. She became a very good friend over the years, and she's still a good friend. She was aggressive, so yeah, and not just picking on women, but it could just be the dating scene. Period.
Hmm. Okay. Um, so we'll just talk about dating in general, whether you meet them just like in your day to day life at church and work or what have you. In your opinion, when you're dating women, you just get to know them. Is
Mhm.
there a point where you think it's kind of like you feel like you're kind of getting to know them, but they bring up the topic or conversation of getting involved in a committed relationship? Is there a time that it's too early to do that, in your opinion?
Well, you know what? I don't think it is. I think honesty, and if you want something and it's coming from the heart, speak it. I think communication is the key. I'm a strong believer in communicating, because that way you give that individual options. So if a person is saying, up front, like, hey, I'm interested in getting serious. Okay, good. Now I know where you're at. Okay. So that gives me the opportunity to say, let me explore this a little more, or I'm not interested. That's me as an individual. So again, it gives me or give the other person the opportunity to explore that.
Uh oh.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. So okay,
I guess
let's say
that got
you're
heated.
on.
That got heated.
Yeah. Right.
That's a hot topic.
Okay. So let's say a first date, third date. Are those too soon, or is it okay to, in your mind, to bring it up like, "Hey, I'm looking for a serious relationship." Is it too late to bring that up on a first date?
I think a first date is too early.
Okay.
Okay, to bring that up. Now maybe the fourth or fifth date, yes. Slowly introduce that. Yeah, why not? Why not?
Okay.
Hmm.
Dating different people because you're open, you're single. If you meet someone, are you usually dating more than one person, or do you tend to, if you see someone that you like, do you kind of cut everyone else off and kind of just focus on one person, or do you continue to date other people until maybe the conversation is brought up about being in a relationship?
No, I'm a guy that really would date one person. I'm not a guy that's going to date several different people at one time. No, I don't believe in that. I believe in giving that person and giving us the opportunity to get to know one another. But trying to date several people at one time is just too much. Too much is
Okay.
you over exerting your energy. I would like to focus on that one individual.
Okay. And that's fair because you have an empire that you have built over the years and you have to work
Yes,
as well. So dating is time consuming and vetting it's a lot. But I know some people are like, well, continue to date other people, meet other people, and some are like, well, no, just one person. So I mean it's good to know because a lot of women don't even hear that. They don't hear men say, well, I'm just going to date one person if, that's what it is. It's usually kind of dating other people until a certain period of time has passed or you spent some time together. So I mean that's good to know that some men are still like that. Have you dated a woman with kids or children?
I have. I have dated a
Okay.
woman with kids, and I'm going to be honest. I'm selfish. I'm selfish because I want a one-on-one relationship. I don't have any kids, so I want to go in a relationship where we both do not have kids. I have nothing against an individual, a woman that have kids, but however, I prefer and I want to date a woman that don't have kids because we
Okay.
can get up, leave, and do whenever we want to. The
Okay.
opportunities are.
Okay, so you're in your mid 50s now. So a lot of women, if they're around your age, they
Mhm,
have kids that are older, who are
mhm,
out the house. Is that
mhm.
does that make or does that qualify them um, to date? Are they in the same situation as not having kids, or you just prefer them not to have kids at all?
I prefer them not to have kids at all.
Okay, all right, that's honest. What was your experience like when you dated a woman with children?
Once again, I realize that it's taken away from our time. Even though I dated a young lady that had kids and she was a great organizer, but still, I guess I realized that when I want that attention, I do. I want that attention. So I'm not going to sit here and, like, oh, well, it's okay. I'm not that I would say selfish. I'm saying selfish for both of us, but
Hmm.
I'm not a selfish individual at all. But however, I want to be selfish for both of us. So I prefer not to date a woman with kids. I don't want any extra backlash or any extra variables. If any issues we have, I want to have it between both of us.
Hmm. And I
And
will say,
so,
I can vouch that you are definitely a family man and a family person. You love to be around your family, and so that is key for you. I know. Have you ever dated a woman out of convenience? When I say convenience, like they had a particular quality that was convenient for you and helpful for you in your life,
of
and
course,
oh, okay, what were those things? Because women want
well,
to know, okay, am I being used? Am I in a relationship in which is for convenience for him, but maybe in your head not long term. So how
well,
did that work? How did that come about?
convenience was time. Uh, Convenience was the skill, and it worked for both of us. Now, don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
So again, it was their skill set, and also it was their time, and also they collaborate their time with mine. So that's what made that convenient. And also, I stayed in a relationship because at times I did because it was convenient.
Okay. We didn't really talk about this beforehand, but what about I don't know, do you cook?
I do.
You do? Okay. So I mean a lot of men, especially if they're working all the time and cooking may not be the thing. Like you just may prefer just to pick up something. Is that a requirement for you for a woman to know how to cook?
Well, here's the thing. I would love to date a woman that cooks, but however, we can work on that together. You can prep meals for the week or what have you. And I just start doing that somewhat so I can eat healthier. I work long hours, and there's times when I don't have time to get out and pick something up to eat. And also, I don't really want to eat all the fast food or quick foods in certain areas that I work in because they pretty
Hmm.
much are not healthy at all. So I am a health nut. So yes,
Okay. Yeah, I can
she
remember
has. Go ahead.
she has to learn how to cook. Now, I remember specifically when I was dating before I married my husband that I met a guy who specifically was like, the woman that I'm with, they have to know how to cook. I mean, I could cook, so it's not a problem for me, but I can throw
Right,
down.
right.
But he really was specific. He was like, I don't cook. Like, I need a woman who can cook. So, and that's it. And it's not even like it wasn't anything that was even something he can compromise on, which I thought was interesting because I'd never heard that before. But
That would be a plus. I mean, a woman that can cook is really a plus. I'm not going to lie to you. Yes, but we can do it together.
Right. Okay. Was there any point, I'm going to go back a little bit. Was there any point in your life that you ever wanted children?
Yes, there was a time. I'll say about well, actually 15 years ago. And I think what really deterred that is my uh, the work that I do. Uh,
Hmm.
the work that I do, it really detoured me from wanting to have children, even though I work around a lot of children. And of course, the typical niece and nephews. But however, it's nothing like having your own. Um, but at that time, it just wasn't. I was really into my career and my academia, and over 15 years ago, and the focus wasn't there. And when I was dating, there was no one that I had found that was willing to, or I wanted to have a child with. Because if I do, one thing about me, if I do have a kid, I most definitely want to be there, and I want to be a great father. I want to be an awesome father, and I don't want to be away from my kids. So I want to make sure that the bond that I have with that young lady, that we are on the same key. I don't really want. I'm old school, so I really don't want, to have a child when we both are co-parenting. I don't want that. I really
Right.
prefer that we are together as a family and building as a family.
Right. Okay. So you said there was a time about 15 years ago. So has
Yes.
that desire changed
Well,
altogether?
different. Well, um, it can be a conversation. Most definitely, if we're talking about long term relationship, we're talking about marriage. Yes, most definitely, I'm open to it. Most definitely.
Okay. That's awesome. I
Mhm.
just wasn't sure at, a certain age, some men are like, okay, or some people, even women, I'm at, 50, 45, 50, 55. It's kind of like too late. And you kind of accustomed to it just being you. And so that transition might be hard, and you said that you're selfish. So, kids, you can't be selfish at all. And, with my husband, the reason we had two kids back to
Right.
back is because, it takes us about a good 10 to 15 steps when we get out the bed for our knees to stop cracking. So that gets
But
worse.
here's the thing. Here's the other thing. I know I can afford to have a kid too.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah, that's definitely a
Yeah,
plus.
I know I can afford. It's not to the point that we're, oh my God, do I have to compromise or have to sacrifice,
Right.
finances. So
Yeah,
if the other half doesn't have it, I know I can supply and support all of us. So that's another plus. Yeah,
that's great.
I can hire
Does
somebody.
your you can hire somebody? That's true. Um, do you want your future wife or whoever you're in a relationship to have a certain level of education? Does that mean anything to you? Do you desire it? Does it, or does it even matter?
It does mean something to you. Yes, it does. It does. And I'll be honest. Um, I think it's to the point to where so we can be on a certain level. I don't want to be 3 levels up or 3 levels down. I want to kind of meet each other in the middle. And there's nothing wrong with her being a couple levels up. That's fine. I'm looking at growth. I don't mind growth. But however, I don't want to be to the point that, we can't have a nice conversation, you know? So the education does play a role.
Okay, so what is the minimum education that you're
Well,
looking for in a woman?
I can say a bachelor's degree. That's
Okay,
cool.
that's fine. That's fine.
I really want to say a master and a PhD, but that's okay. I can take it. It's all depends. It depends on the chemistry. Depends on the
Hmm.
chemistry. But yes,
Okay,
she
so
has to be educated. Yes.
okay, minimum educational requirements, bachelor's degree. Okay, what about a certain amount of money? Does she need to make a certain amount of money? There are some women or some people. Not I'm just gonna say women. Some people will have like 10 degrees, but they may constantly be in school or be in college. So
Right.
you have that part. Do they need to make a certain amount of money?
It would be nice. It would be nice if they made 6 figures, 6 figures or
Okay.
more. It would be nice. Yes.
Okay. So what basic qualities are you looking for in a woman for a serious relationship?
Okay. So good. Since you mentioned education, education is one.
Okay.
Um, Understanding, respect, knowing how to compromise. Um, well put together. When I say well put together, um, learning her mate, understanding her mate, and that goes both ways as well. I would do the same. Uh, removing all the selfishness, removing, resentful, you know, being able to communicate. When we communicate, once we communicate about something that's difficult or we have a disagreement, I want to make sure we find the solution. It's not always about focusing on the problems, focusing on the solution. And that's what can
Right.
make us go forward. Is focus on our solution so we can grow. I believe in growth. I want a woman that wants to grow. Okay. That's where I'm at. Grow
Right.
together, not apart.
So when you say you want a woman who's well put together, what
Mhm.
does that mean? Because you say that, I automatically think physical. Does that mean physical to you, or does it mean something else?
Yes, that plays a part of it too as well. Of course, we got to have some type of attraction. Okay.
Hmm.
That's important as well. I'm quite sure it's important to her as well too.
Hmm.
But however, and I mean that by healthy, health wise. We want to stay fit. Look at both of our health. Want to make sure if one is not doing what they're supposed to do, hold each other accountable.
Right.
Yes, most definitely. Mhm.
Okay. Um, in the past, when you were in a relationship with someone and you were no longer interested, or you saw that this was not going anywhere, how did you let her know? Was it something that you verbally communicated, or did you just kind of slide to the back and maybe stop answering phone calls
Slide
and
to the right.
or slide
Um,
to the right or left? How
Absolutely.
did you end things? And not just with one relationship,
Dialogue.
but relationships over the years.
Dialogue. I had dialogue. Communicating. Talked about my wants. Talked about her wants. Which is important. And then, sometimes either the want or need is not being met. So there's flags. And if there's flags, let's talk about it. And if they can't be met, I just go ahead and say, look, it's not working out.
Have
Simple
you
as
ever
that.
had have you ever had any pushback? Have you ever said, "Look, this is not working out. We have like two different ways of looking at things. I just don't feel like that we're compatible. Like I think you're a good person." Have you ever had any pushback when
Oh, yeah,
trying to end things
yes.
with a woman?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, most definitely. I have. When sometimes when it's not right and you still give them the opportunity. You still give them a chance. And I'm quite sure it's on both parts. I mean, I'm not perfect, and same with me as well. But however, yes, I do open the door up for opportunity if the opportunity is there. So yes,
Okay.
it has. Mhm.
Okay. So pushback to you doesn't mean that the woman is like, no, 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 no. We can work on this. We can do better. Is
Right.
that what it looks like? And then
Yes.
and in that situation, have you actually seen them make those changes that you probably suggested?
Nope. So
No,
it's
what you didn't see any
no, they
changes?
do not. No, no changes. It's about a week or so, then it goes back to the same old individual. So they don't want to change. So if they're not wanting to change, then I go forward like, look, you just have to end this.
Okay.
Mhm.
Have you had any like crazy exes or anything like that? Anyone slash any tires, come show up at your home, anything like that?
No, no, not really. No,
Okay, that's
I didn't
good.
have. Yeah, no, no. I hope I never deal with those type. No.
No stalkers. Okay, that's great because I've had one or two and it's not fun. Okay, so I had a poll in the group this past week, and it's like the age-old question: who pays on the first date? So, and I don't know if your answer has changed from when you were in your 20s, 30s, 40s to now, but who do you feel should pay on the first date, man or
I'm
woman,
old.
or whoever acts first?
It's I'm old school, so it's still the same. A man should play on the first date, most
Okay,
definitely.
and you've always felt that way from the time that you were young.
Pretty much, yes. Yeah, I
Okay.
did. Mhm.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So you've gotten past the first date. Now you guys are dating. And so there's multiple dates and, possible relationship. How does that change? Does that change at all? Who pays for the majority? Is it 50-50? How was it when you were in 20s and your 30s? And how is it now? And how has it changed now?
So I'll say my 20s and 30s, I would say it's more of, become 50-50. But however, the way I feel today, I don't mind being the person that pays the majority of the time, pay for the date. However, but she has to show up and she has to show out. When I say show up and show out, she has to show me that, she has my back. She has to say, hey, let me pay for this. I'm like, okay. I'll sit back and watch, or I'll pay for the next 5 more uh, dates, not a problem. But she has to show up somewhere and show me that, I got it. You know, um, she's got to be there and let me know she has my back. That's important, and not be selfish. Now, if I'm seeing, I can look and tell pretty much. Uh, there's a difference between that you expect it, and there's a difference when a woman decided, hey, I really have this, and I really want to pay for this. I
Right.
like that.
Okay. I got you. Okay, so I have a poll. This will be coming up sometime this week. I'm not sure what day, but it'll be out there. But let's say you're dating a woman and she says, "Hey, Jerome, let's go out of town for a couple of days, wherever, across the country, whatever." Who pays in that situation? You're
Okay,
you're
so if
dating.
it's
She invited you, and
okay,
so the options are basically: should she pay for everything since she invited you? Should you say, "Okay, well, I'm the guy. How much is it going to cost, and I'll pay," or should you half it up? Should she pay for accommodations and travel, and you pay everything else, or vice versa? How do you feel about that?
so I feel like that. If she's asking me, I pay half, and she pays half.
Okay, you pay your own way.
Yeah, I pay my own way. She pays her own way, especially if it's new. Yeah, almost
Okay,
definitely. Yeah.
okay. How many serious relationships would you say you've been in over your life?
Mm, I can literally say probably three.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about the one in which you were engaged but didn't actually marry. What was
Okay.
it that actually took you to the next level to actually propose or plan to get married, but it didn't happen?
Well, younger, immature. Um, we were together for about 5 years. Um, I still want to party.
Okay.
Um, she was more of a settled type, more of a homebody, but I was still out there just searching. And I messed that up. I realized that, and it was too late to go back. Um, then there was another one, not another serious relationship. I mean, I messed that up too as well. And I think I was going through a lot in life, um, growth, changes, career. I think I put my career in front of my relate. Matter of fact, I know I put my career in front of my relationship. Now, where I'm at today, I know that's not the right thing to do. I know it's the unfair thing to do, and it's a selfish thing to do. So I've learned from that. So now I am a different individual. And if I sit there and say, "Hey, let's get married," I know I mean.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Um, so in our podcast, the first podcast that I did with my husband last week, um, we had spoken before in the past, and he stated that he has dated like one or two women, and he dated them for years, but never committed. He always dated other women. Have you ever been in the same situation where you've dated someone for several years but didn't commit?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't comprehend that fully. Like if you're like consistently, even just like inconsistent, if you're like consistently dating someone like for a couple years but don't commit, like that's not something that
Convenience.
I would be interested in. Now maybe she, said, "Hey, like let's do more," and you said no. But
Right.
how was it that you were dating this person for so long, or was that one that was out of convenience without actually committing?
Convenience. Convenience. Uh, I'm going to say this. I know now if I'm ready to be married. If I see this young lady and we start talking, I can tell a matter of what, let's say a matter of weeks to months if I'm ready. If she's the
Mhm.
one, I know that. But it become convenience. If you let me, which I won't do that today, I won't do that because I know better. Um,
Mhm.
Today I'll be more of getting into a relationship to eventually, hopefully, it becomes something better. Um, And but back then, I mean, hey, if you know y'all let us do it, we're gonna do it.
Okay, and that's fair. So I was gonna say, well, all men are not at the point where they're like, well, I'm just not gonna waste a woman's time because after 40, we don't have a lot of time. We have had plenty of experiences. What advice would you give to women to kind of look for like in a man, or clues that she can kind of look at to say, is this man just does he have me around for convenience, or is he possibly serious about me if they've not committed but they're dating? Or is that in and of itself the answer?
Well, I mean, far as and it's on an individual basis. And if you're dating a guy well over a year and he's not speaking, or you guys are not speaking about marriage or going further, then that's a waste of time.
Hmm.
You know, you and I'll even go to 2 years. By the end of 2 years, you guys should be talking about moving forward and not backwards. And at 2 years, you pretty much know if you're going to marry someone or you have interest in marrying someone. I wouldn't go that long length of time, and not knowing if I'm going to marry
If
someone.
a man has not verbally agreed to commit to you in that scenario, it's been a year, 6 months, a year, 2 years. Should a woman continue to date other men or meet other men, or should she kind of stay around and give all her attention to this one particular gentleman if she has a strong
If,
interest in him?
if she's interested in marriage, I think she should bring it up. I think it's fair. I think it's fair to bring it up. I am a strong believer in communication. Communication is the key.
Hmm.
Somewhere we lost it, somewhere we weren't taught, but I'm a firm believer in communicating. Most
Okay.
definitely. Today I am.
Now I'm sure you've been in a situation where a woman has said, "Hey, I want to get married or what have you." You were kind of like, "Nah, not like." And I don't know if you communicated that or
I
not, but
have.
in that situation, you have. Okay. So I was just going
Mhm.
to ask, if a woman does bring it up and, you're like, no, I don't think I'm ready, or I don't think now is the time. At that point, should a woman focus all her attention at one particular guy, or should she go out and start dating other people?
Well, here's the thing. It all depends on what she wants. Because if this guy is saying I'm not ready, what's the answer? Why is he not ready? You know, is he not ready because of he just don't want to get married? Is he not ready because she's not the right girl for him? They should have that dialogue. You should actually have that dialogue before you start dating. Because what if he says my finances? What if it's something that sounds legit while he's not ready? But if it makes sense to her, why would you start dating other guys if the relationship is going well? But I mean, come on, you can feel in your gut if someone is not serious or not being genuine.
Hmm.
So why would you not date others if you know this guy is not serious about you?
Hmm.
But if you know this guy is serious about you and he have valid reason, then why would you date others?
Okay.
That's what I say.
Okay. So let's talk about. We've had a conversation about it, but let's talk about prenups. I don't know if it was even a conversation or even a thought when you were like in your 20s and 30s, when you were at a different place financially. But again, now here you are, you're a little bit older. Again, you've worked really hard to build your future, like for the rest of your life. What is your feeling about prenups then, maybe 20, 25 years ago, and prenups now?
I didn't believe in prenups 20, 25 years ago, but today I definitely will look at that as an opportunity to seek because I mean, if you're dating someone that makes great money and they have built their enterprise or they built their brand, and if they don't know you, so if a prenup is talked about, I have no problem to speak on it. I'm okay with a
Okay.
prenup.
Now, would you?
I
Is it a requirement for you though? Like, okay, everything is good. I really like you. Things seem really well. I can see myself with you. Here's a prenup. Would you act? Is it a requirement for you, or is you're saying you would definitely consider it, but would you actually offer it or make it a requirement to marriage?
I would I would bring it up.
Okay.
I would bring
Okay.
it up. I would bring it up, and I would bring it up and see how I was just to see the response. For one, to see response, but I would bring it up and see where it goes because, like I said again, if you're talking about dating someone that makes way over six figures, they may have the same thought as well. They may feel the same way. They may want to what? They may want to have a prenup. Okay,
Yeah.
then we're both on the same page. Okay, I'm cool with that. If they
Yeah.
make way more money than I do and they're like they don't want a prenup, I'm like, okay.
Okay,
No,
so
no, but seriously, prenup is a conversation I don't mind having, and I'm okay with it if we both agree with it. I'm okay with it.
okay. I know. Well, I was in another long-term relationship, and you kind of knew all about that. But I remember early on when we first started dating, he brought up the topic of a prenup, and I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." Or maybe I initiated it. I don't remember because in my mind I was like, "Well, I'm gonna be something. Like I'm gonna have a lot." So, I'm gonna have an empire. I'm gonna have a lot to lose. And at the time, I had just gotten pretty much out of law school. I just started practicing. I had a lot of student loans at the time and nothing else. But I was like, make my mark in the world. So yeah. But he was really, really offended by that and just thought it was like the worst thing in the world for me to bring that up. And at the time he didn't have anything as well, but it was totally was very offended. So would you I know a lot of times you said you have a preference, you have a minimum income preference. Would you though, if everything else really good, a woman making $50,000 or what have you? Um, is that not consideration? Everything else is good. Would you require a prenup in that situation?
Yes,
Okay, all right. I have someone
yes.
who could draw one up for you, so they can come yell
She
at
makes
me. That's fine.
all right. She makes 50. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Okay. Um, we got several questions. I had several questions that were sent to me yesterday, but I said I would bring this one up specifically. Um, the question was that why are men in their 50s, why do some men or a lot of men who are in their 50s seem to be emotionally unavailable? Now, I have what I came up with as an answer, and I even talked to my husband about it.
Okay.
In my mind, I feel that way because when a man and or a woman, but when a man specifically turns 50, you kind of realize that you have about 10, maybe 15 like good years before you retire. And
Right.
okay, 20, fine.
I'm just kidding. I'm
but
just kidding.
but
Yeah.
but you need to
Yes.
like build whatever you're going to be like if you have that mindset. You need to build your future. Now you want to make sure that you are set and you are good for retirement. And
Yes.
like and so if you're 50, that realization kind of like hits you like 50, you're like, gosh, you're not even make sure I get this done. And so sometimes your focus just changes to building that. And then, while you may want the companionship of a woman, um, you need to have, your wealth. You need to build your wealth. What is your opinion about that? As far as men being emotionally unavailable at that age?
Just okay. All right. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Oh, okay. All right. So you were asking, say, I mean, I got most of it. You were talking about why men, you said
So,
emotional,
so the question was why
and
men in their
you meant,
50s appear to be emotionally unavailable. I was saying their focus a lot of times is, can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you just a little lower
Okay.
for some odd
And I was
reason.
saying their focus at a lot of times at 50 is,
But go ahead.
really a man in his 50s, sorry guys, we're having technical difficulties. That a man in his 50s is really trying to prepare for retirement. So his focus is on building that and maybe not may not be, on a woman, although he may want the companionship, but his focus is making sure that he's set for when he retires and when he retires with, his wife if he or a partner when he gets there. So how do you feel about that answer, or if that is that one of the reasons why some men, and I know you can't speak on behalf of all men, but why some men may appear to be emotionally unavailable in their 50s?
All right. So I'm trying to understand. So I'm hearing two different things. So you're asking why men over 50 is emotionally unavailable. All right. And then you
Let's
mentioned
just
the part about the job. Uh,
mhm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So that was my explanation. That's my reasoning is that men are focusing on building for retirement. So their focus primarily is on that
Got
as
it.
opposed to a woman.
Got
So
it.
I'm asking, do you agree
Okay.
with that? Or do you think there's another reason? And again, I know you can't speak on behalf of all men, but
Right.
maybe, in your situation.
I don't think it's necessary. Men are focused so much on their job, and so they're emotionally unavailable. I think part of it is your environment. Um, we as men was pretty much taught. We weren't really taught how to communicate, and I see it as we were taught that communicating was weak, and women did all the communicating. When you're talking about 50 and over. So that's not a man. That's man's supposed to be, brawn, and a man that's supposed to show his emotions. A man's supposed to do the outside type work, and the women do the inside type work. That old, antiquated stuff. So I think that's where some of that comes from about the emotional piece. But I have found, and especially in my career, that communication is, and I say this over and over again, communication is the key, and learning to connect with your emotions and learning how to compartmentalize it and use it in an appropriate setting, um, and go from there how to tap into your emotions. That's
Okay.
me.
So you don't believe it's a matter of being emotionally unavailable. You just think it's an issue of not knowing how to properly communicate.
Yes, most definitely. If you're not taught how to properly communicate, then of course we don't become mostly connected. I
Okay.
think that's a lot to do with it, and it's an individual thing too as well. Pretty much an individual thing. And I'm a
Okay.
communicator, so I can break it down
Okay.
more and understand it.
Okay. And I'm just going to throw this tidbit in here just for people who most people don't know this. You know my father. So, you know, the type of personality that he was. And I remember just being a teenager and he would drive me to school and he'd have like these talks with me. And the ones that stood out to me, or just one particular thing that stood out to me, was he would say, men are logical, women are emotional. So that means women are emotional, so they'll make good decisions. And I didn't realize at the time, but I was like processing that as okay, like I feel like I was a smart individual, even like in high school or younger. And I was like, okay, well, if I show emotion, that means like I'm not logical or like I'm
Oh
kind of like
wow.
weak or something. And so I didn't realize that until like I was in my late 20s that the reason why I did not have a lot of relationships that worked was because I was basically, I don't want to say I was emotionally unavailable. I just didn't communicate. It was like having the mentality of two men in a relationship. We just kind of like I was just not like was not nurturing. If something was wrong, it was just kind of like you need to figure that out, kind of thing. And so that was something I
And,
really had to learn and
mhm.
process and get out of. And when I realized that, I was in a relationship like within a year or less
And
because
that's
I
funny
was
that you say
able.
that.
Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
It's funny that you say that because that's where communication starts. Communication starts in the home.
Hmm.
Your first 4 or 5 years, that's how you learn how to communicate. And that's how you connect usually. And you
Hmm.
usually draw from that. You just gave me a prime example, what your father just said, that men are logical and women are emotional.
Hmm.
So you drew off of that.
Right.
So
Right.
communication really starts at the home.
Yeah, and
But
he
yes,
took he made it seem like it was a bad thing, but it actually is a good thing. Like we are women, we are emotional. Like we're supposed to let that go. We're supposed to, show that if we need to cry, we need to cry. Like it was years before I would even cry, like at all. Like you you might hurt my feelings, but I was not going to shed a tear. Now I cry like a baby, but all the time. But those things matter. Yeah, it's definitely important. How you grew up and what was taught and what you observed. Um, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up now because you've given a lot of good information.
okay,
So last question: when do you think that you'll finally be ready to settle down and get married?
I'm ready.
You're ready.
I'm
Okay.
ready.
Okay. So there's a plethora
Mhm.
of women out here, though. Like there's no shortage of women. So okay, you say you're ready now. When did you finally realize that you were ready?
After, and like I said, I talk about my career because my career became my wife
Okay.
the last few years. And I realized you can't marry a career. So I'd say about a year ago, and there's a lot of other things took place too. About a year ago, I started realizing that I'm ready. Uh, I woke up and I'm in a great place. I'm in a good position,
Mhm.
and I'm ready.
Okay.
Um, but you like you said, there's a lot of women out there, but I don't. I'm still that guy that don't believe in these apps. I hear a lot of horror stories, and I talk to a lot of folk about these apps, and it's like people going through people, and I don't really want to keep going through all these different relationships. And I know you have to start somewhere, um, but and this is why I'm single today.
Okay. So about a year you've been serious. So, here's hoping and praying that within the next couple of years you will find the one, and I'm sure you will. I mean, although
So
COVID and quarantine and all this makes things really, really hard. Like I
that
don't
makes it
know what
even
I
that made it
would
even
do.
harder.
Yeah, I don't know
That
what
made it
I would
more
do if I were
difficult.
single in this environment. It's got to be extremely, extremely hard. Um, but if anybody's listening out there and they know anyone who's looking for a husband or is interested in Jerome, send a message. We'll see if we can get it back to them. So thank you so much for joining us today. I know again we had some issues connecting earlier on, but you gave a lot of good information. Love your story, and so I
All
will
right.
be in touch with you. And if I hear anything, I'll let you know.
All
So
right. Thank
again,
you.
we will be on every Sunday to all our listeners. Every Sunday sessions at 2 o'clock. If you have a story that you want to share of a marriage or relationship in which you became involved in over 40. And then I like to get a lot of single men on here who are still single as well, over 40, who can kind of, give us some information as to what they think is the problem, the issues that we're having with connecting our men and women together. So again, thank you for joining us, and we will see you next Sunday.
All right. Bye.
Bye.